Hello and welcome back to the channel on our continuing voyage to become better blues players. My name's Mark, and in this lesson we're going to look at 8 licks to play over 12 bar blues, and these 8 licks come from the Dorian Mode. Okay, so the way the lesson's going to work, same as always, you're going to see me play an example solo over a 12 bar blues using all 8 licks, and then we'll come back on the other side and I'll pull them apart and show you them one by one, and then we'll have a talk about the Dorian Mode and how to use it in blues so you can come up with licks of your own as well. So, here's the example. So that was the example, and what we'll do now is we'll pull it all apart and I'll show you all the licks one by one, and then we'll have a chat about how to use the Dorian Mode for playing blues. But before we do, 2 little pieces of housekeeping. First of all, the PDF that accompanies this has the tab and all the scale diagrams and everything. And if you would like that, it's absolutely free. Drop me an email, details are in the description below. You're not signing up to anything, you're just sending me an email, and the next time I'm online, I will attach the PDF and send it back to you as an attachment and as a reply to the email. And please do include the fact that you want the PDF to the Dorian Blues solo in C, because I have lots of these lessons around and I need to know which one you're referring to. Okay, so that's the first piece of housekeeping. The second one is please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Please leave me comments because that really helps me beat the YouTube algorithm, and yeah, that would be really appreciated if you could do that. Okay, great. So let's get on with the licks now. So the first lick comes in on beat just after beat 3 of the preceding bar. So you go on the backing track, you hear 1, 2, 3, 4 count before the band come in. You're listening out for that third click, 1, 2, 3, and then we're coming in with this lick here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now I'll do it nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. And again, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. Okay. We are in the key of C, by the way. The backing track's over is in the key of C. So this is being played over a C7 chord, and what I'm doing is I'm hitting a few of those nice Dorian notes that we're going to talk about later. Tricky thing with this one is that it's got a couple of double stops in it. Double stops is where we're playing 2 strings at the same time. So where we'd normally play with our fingertips, now we've kind of got to use the slightly somewhere between the fleshy bit and the side of our fingers, and we've got one of those on fret 8 and fret 10. So one more time, nice and slow. Watch out for the double stops. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was lick 1. That was over the C7 chord. Also over the C7 chord is lick 2, and that's going to go like this. Okay, and nice and slow. Okay, and again, nice and slow. Okay, and what you probably notice about that is it's actually just based on C minor pentatonic, starting in box position 1, ending in box position 2. The first half of the lick, it just uses pentatonic notes. The second half then ends by pulling out that Dorian note, that major 6th, which is not in the C minor pentatonic. Talk more about that later, but it's an example of going from pentatonic, box position 1, box position 2, and then just at the end, just throwing in that Dorian note. As I say, talk more about that in a moment. Lick 3 then occurs in the solo when the solo moves the 4 chord. So we're in the key of C, so the 4 chord is the F7. So the band is going to an F7, here's an F9, F7, that kind of chord. So now we've got a lick to play over that. And that goes like this. Okay, so this is just a 1-bar lick now. I'll do it again, nice and slow. Okay, watch out in the tab, because just like there is in a lot of blues playing, there's little subtle bends here and there going on. So watch the performance to get those. They've been noted in the tab, but yeah, you'll notice exactly how much you bend and stuff. That's up to you, how you're feeling on the day. So yeah, just watch out for those little subtle bends. We're now in box position 3. I'm thinking minor pentatonic, but essentially with those added Dorian notes in that we're going to talk about in a moment. Box position 3 means anchoring the root note, B string, index finger, so that's here. So the whole lick, nice and slow. And up to speed. Nice kind of BB Kingish lick. That's probably what I was thinking of. Okay, that was lick 3. Lick 4, again, over the F7 chord. That now goes like this. Okay, so again, we're staying in box position 3. We're starting with a whole step bend up. We're actually taking the minor third up to a whole step, which takes us from, what's that, an E flat to an F. So the chord, the underlying chord is an F, so we're going to hit that F. When we get there, we're going to grab top E at the 13th fret as well, which again is the same F. So that's kind of how the lick works. Once again, nice and slow. Okay. Lick 5 then comes in over the C7 chord. It actually comes in on the preceding bar for just a beat before we get to the C7. It comes in and it goes like this. Okay, nice and slow. This first beat here, this first note, that comes in over the F7, but then this note here, the big bend, that is coming in on the beat when the chord changes. So if you're playing this and you want to listen out for when to time these licks, that's the time. And you want to aim to get that big bend landing on the beat as the band go from an F7 to a C7. Okay, nice and slow. Here we go. Okay, so that's over the C7 chord, and then again, now we're about to move to the the G7 chord. This is going to be lick 6. Again, this lick starts with a beat just before the chord change. So just to lead the listener in, there's a note, 8th fret of the top E string, which is just immediately before the chord change. And lick 6 goes like this. Okay, nice and slow. Okay, the important thing with this one is we're getting the beat. Ba 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 ba. Okay, so on the tab you'll look and it'll look like it's just like straight 8s, but because it's a shuffle beat, those notes aren't equal. It's ba 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 ba. It's a shuffle. That's how the blues is played. Okay, so again, one more time, nice and slow. Okay, nice and easy. Okay, so that was lick 6. Lick 7 is now over the F7 chord, and that goes like this. And again, nice and slow. What you'll notice with this one is I'm rocking between the the B string and the E string, it's kind of hard for me to do slow because when I play slow, my fingers naturally want to play with my index finger, and because I've got, with the tip of my finger, and because I've got time, I want to jump between them. But when it's going fast, I'm actually just rolling so that I'm playing the B string with my fingertip and the E string with the kind of slightly more of the fleshy part of my finger. I don't know if you can see that on that camera, but I'm playing the B string basically with this part of my finger up here and the E string with that part of my finger kind of more like down there. I don't know whether that's coming across on the camera or not, but there you go. Okay, one more time, nice and slow. Okay, and the other important thing to watch with this one is that those are individual notes. We're not letting it all ring out. We're not playing it like this. Okay, after each note, we are actually just slightly releasing with our left hand to kind of kill it dead. Okay, so that was lick 7, last lick now. This is lick 8. This is over the chord change between the C7 chord and the G7 chord. So it goes like this. So we're starting over that C7 chord, but you'll notice we're ending on this note here. What's that? 10th fret of the A string, so that's a G note, so that's our 5 chord. Okay, I'll play it nice and slow. Okay, and again, it's important to get that rhythm. Bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum. Okay, and again, one more time, nice and slow. And one more time up to speed. Okay, so that was all licks. Okay, so let's talk about the C Dorian mode. Now, the last video on this channel, the previous one before this, is a whole lesson explaining the modes, where they come from, modes for blues players, which ones we focus on, which ones we pretty much, well, ignore. But basically the theory, it lasts about, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes, something like that. And it goes through all the theory, so everything you need to know in order to understand what the modes are, where they come from, how to identify them, all of that kind of thing. And one of the things we say in that video at the end, so this is a bit of a spoiler if you haven't seen it, is that one of the modes that we really focus on as a blues player is the Dorian mode. And as you would have seen from that theory lesson, the C Dorian mode is actually the second mode from the major scale. In this case, the major scale would be B flat. So our C Dorian scale and our B flat major scale are actually exactly the same notes. As I say, all this explained in the previous lesson. So one way that you could attack the C Dorian scale is simply to play a B flat major scale. That is all the notes of C Dorian playing from B flat to B flat, and it's the B flat major scale. But as blues players, that's not how we think of it. That is one approach to modal playing. If you get a chord progression and you play, you effectively transpose, kind of use the other scale, you know, the relative scale to it. That's a way of approaching modal playing. So if you had a C minor chord progression and you played B flat major over it, then you would be playing Dorian. But that's not what we're doing today, because that's not really how blues players think about the Dorian mode. The way that most people learn the modes, and the way I first learned them, is that you learn it as a new completely separate scale on the fretboard, and you basically memorize the dots, and that will go like this. Okay, and you learn that and you memorize it, and that's what I did like many years ago. And it doesn't really mean anything. It's a bunch of notes, it's a bunch of dots on the fretboard that you can jump to. But you can't actually do anything with it. You can't, like, how do you know which are the best notes in there? How do you know which notes to rest on? How do you know which notes are good for making licks and different sounds and things? So I wouldn't advise learning the Dorian scale like that, or in fact any scale. The way that I think of the Dorian mode when I play blues, I think the way a lot of blues players think is, first of all, anchoring it off the minor pentatonic. So if we think of the C minor pentatonic scale, we get this. Okay, which we all know and love. We all love that scale. It's great. You can do loads of cool bluesy stuff with it. But if you want to get a little bit beyond that, we can simply add a couple of extra notes. So the Dorian mode, for me, the best way to think of the Dorian mode is it's the C minor pentatonic, well, it's the minor pentatonic scale with an added second and an added sixth. So our second note would be, say, this one here. So root to 2, and then back into the minor pentatonic. And then you've also got the major sixth here. So you think of minor pentatonic, and we add this note, and this note, and actually the second's up there as well, because these are an octave apart. So you got this one here as well. So I think the best way of approaching this, if you want to play blues, is think minor pentatonic, but then we've got these cool other notes that we can add in as well. Interesting thing about the Dorian mode is the essence of the Dorian mode, if we just boil it all down to it, the thing that makes the Dorian mode so different from every other mode is that we're using the minor third, or the flat third, which in this case is going to be, where are we, 8th fret G string, and the major sixth, and I'll pick this one here, 10th fret B string. It's the only scale, it's the only mode that includes both a minor third and a major sixth, or a natural sixth. So if we want to play a Dorian sounding lick, we emphasize those two notes, and that's kind of like the essence of Dorian, because that's what makes the Dorian mode unique. So that's why in a lot of the licks, you'll find I'm targeting those two particular notes in particular. Okay, so if we think of that, and then we think of, well, it's the minor pentatonic, but we just add in these a couple of extra notes for a little bit of extra spice when we want to. It's a good way of being able to kind of feel our way into the Dorian mode, because all of our pentatonic licks work, and then we can just throw in a few of these extra notes now and again. So I want to tell you quickly, when I was thinking about this solo and putting it together, that's exactly how I thought of it. I was thinking minor pentatonic with these extra few notes. And in fact, if you think back to the tour down lesson, the Eric Clapton tour down lesson that we did recently on this channel, that's exactly what I said. There was these extra notes that Clapton has thrown in, and they are the major sixth and the natural second as well. And we can see that that's essentially him using the Dorian scale. Whether he knows he's thinking of it as the Dorian scale, or whether he's just thinking of it as a sweetened form of the minor pentatonic, who knows how he's thinking of it, but those are the notes that he's using. So the way I built this solo was I saw box position 1, 2, and 3 of the minor pentatonic, and I saw these additional extra notes that kind of hang around them that I can bring in now and again. And I'll be honest that I'm not really thinking of the whole of box position 2 and box position 3. I was just thinking of the notes on the top 3 strings. So would be box position 2, but then we've got this one we can add in, and this one we can add in, and that sounds really cool. That's just ending each lick on that Dorian note, the major sixth. What's really cool is when we get into the box position 3, and if you've been following this channel, you know I love box position 3, because that's where we get to anchor our root note with our index finger on the B string. And that's brilliant for bringing in these Dorian notes, because we've got minor pentatonic here, and then we've got these extra Dorian notes, this one here, and this one here. And it's that kind of nice blend between kind of major sounding blues and minor sounding blues. We've got the major sixth and we've got the minor third, all in there, and that gives it that kind of sweet, kind of sweet and sour sound together. So that's how I was thinking of the solo when I put it together. One more thing that's interesting about the Dorian mode that you might want to think about is that some players, and Robin Ford has taught this on his videos, and it's definitely implied when if you ever see the BB King tuition DVDs that he did, is we take the minor pentatonic, so again, C minor pentatonic box position 1, but on this B string we just lower this flat 7 to become a natural sixth. So we actually just change the scale slightly and we get this. Okay, and what we've got now is we've still got a pentatonic scale, still got 5 notes, but what we've done is we've substituted the natural sixth for the minor 7 for the flat 7. And that means because it's a pentatonic scale, we can still play 2 notes per string, we get all our nice bendy stuff going on there, but it gives it a slightly different sound than the regular pentatonic. I don't think that scale has got an official name. I call it the Dorian pentatonic, but as I say, Robin Ford and others have taught this before, so it's a well-known thing, but I just don't know that it has an actual name. But it's an interesting thing to play around with. You just displace from one note in your minor pentatonic and you're getting this, you know, this slightly different sound, this slightly sweeter sound. Anyway, that was C Dorian Licks. If you found this lesson useful, if you found my channel useful and it's helping you, please consider becoming a member of the Patreon supporters, where you get extra content and things. Or if you want to just show your gratitude, I have a PayPal tip jar, and the details of those things are in the description below. Check out the description, and yes, you can leave a tip via PayPal if you would so like. Thank you very much. Take care. Next time we're coming back, and I think we're going to be looking at doing a similar thing to this, but instead of Dorian, we'll go for Mixolydian.